Firstly, I apologize to President Volodomir Zelensky and the people of Ukraine on behalf of the people of the United States of America. The real people of the United States of America, not the half-brained Russian stooges and assets. Our sense of shame and regret is today immeasurable. Ours, the real people of the United States of America. We are almost always generous. We are largely well-intentioned. And when we are neither, when we are at our most self-centered, at least we are heretofore smart enough and willing enough to let other people fight our fights for us, as Ukraine is, and let others die battling fascists and dictators and scum like Putin instead of us. Forgive us, President Zelensky, for having inflicted this idiot animal Trump upon you, and for permitting him and his little worthless idiot bitch Vance to ambush you that way, and for admitting to your meeting a reporter from TASS, the Russia propaganda source, vaguely dressed up as a news organization, and for harboring this South African stoner credit-grabbing idiot and permitting him to taunt you as you left the White House and as you departed the White House to return the sum of all the human dignity in the White House right now to zero. We will never let Trump forget what he did to you today. We will make him atone, and all those who serve him and do not resign and disassociate themselves from him immediately, just out of sheer embarrassment over being so wrong, so loudly, and being in the service of such a moron as Trump, they have from this day forfeited their legitimacy as, quote, leaders, unquote, of this nation. As the pack of diarrhetic farm animals Trump calls a cabinet has also from this day forward forfeited its legitimacy as our government. And to that point, Trump must now lose power. We, the people of the United States of America, will not live in a kleptocracy. We, the people of the United States of America, will not live in an idiocracy. We, the people of the United States of America, will not live in a Muskocracy. Today, there was a 24-hour consumer boycott, poorly publicized, poorly covered by our increasingly stenographic media until it was about halfway over. Now, after today, we must have a 24-day consumer boycott, then a 24-month consumer boycott. If this is about businesses rushing to back Trump, let's break these businesses in half and starve their billionaire owners. Today, we witnessed the most disgraceful and un-American act by any president in our history, and I include Nixon and Watergate and Bush and Iraq and everything Trump has previously done. Now, we must consume his presidency and force it to do nothing else henceforth but to defend this disgusting, pre-planned act on behalf of Putin and Russia, to defend it every hour and every day and every week and do nothing else and accomplish nothing else until we force him to resign the presidency. On President's Day, the 50-51 movement, 50 states, 50 protests, one movement, protested in Washington and in state capitals. Now we must protest Trump and his attempt, of which today's shameful attack on Zelensky was a part, to install himself permanently in power, and we must do it every day in every city until nothing else in this country matters and nothing else in this country happens. In the 60s and before, and in decreasing measures since, we mobilized on the streets to protest and stop the degradation of our citizens of color and the murder of our citizens of every color via the draft and the Vietnam War. Now, we must have protests that recognize that at this moment, all of us, you and me, are being reshaped by Trump and his terrorist gang into the equivalent of the victims of segregation and of the draftees sent to Southeast Asia to be slaughtered. Civil disobedience, tax strike, general strike, Trump must go. In some respects today, Trump did the world a favor. Trump did America a favor. Trump did you and I a favor. Do not mistake what happened in the Oval Office today. That was not Trump losing his temper or giving way to his only recognizable kinda human instincts, violence and vengeance. That was an ambush. Vance was there. Vance was only there to demand Zelensky personally thank Trump, to personally kiss Trump's ass, because that's what creatures like Vance exist to do, to service snakes like Trump, to pleasure snakes like Trump, because even Trump knows you cannot yourself in public demand that someone else kiss your ass in thanks. To create some diaphanous cover of possible legitimacy, to pretend that the other person should be grateful to you and for you, that claim must be made by a third party. It must be done for you. It is why Vance is vice president. He has no scruples and no shame. He was there to read a script. As usual, he read it poorly. But in Trump's addled, diseased mind, J.V. Vance served his purpose. Even a mediocre Dracula with bad teeth still has to have a Renfield. And Vance is Trump's. No, it was not spontaneous, but many will think it so. And even those who don't will have seen the real Trump, the Trump he has so frequently tried to hide, especially on the campaign trail last year. I think the world has yet to fully process the real meaning of Trump's bizarre remark years ago that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue outside his own front door and not lose any support. The real meaning was hinted at today in the Oval Office. He has thought about shooting people. Not a fantasy, not a theory, not a what if. He has thought about shooting people. He had thought through the ramifications of shooting someone on Fifth Avenue. And when he said what he said, he had just realized that for whatever cataclysm in our society, the calculus had changed and he could now get away with it. Saying he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue was, in fact, saying that sooner or later he would shoot someone on Fifth Avenue or at the White House, and if not literally, then figuratively. And that person, no doubt on Putin's instructions, was Volodomir Zelensky. And everybody who already hated Trump and recognized the mortal danger he faces to the world now hates him anew, and with freshened vigor, and everybody who thought he could be contained and directed and exploited now sees they were again deluding themselves. And then there are those in the middle who could never really picture until today what it would look or sound like if the President of the United States was insane, was the worst person in the world, was a racist, murderous, psychopathic, quasi-human who isn't even smart enough to realize he is attacking Zelensky, the man who would save him on behalf of Putin, the man who would destroy them both. Those people in the middle, and maybe there are 1 million of them, maybe there are 100 million of them. I don't know. I don't care. They have now seen and heard exactly what Trump the animal is. Or they will see and will hear it. Or they must see and must hear it. Or we must show it to them every day for the rest of the Trump dictatorship.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? Bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
I'm not
you're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards.
I'm not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
That's
back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you.
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country. This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you.
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I answer?
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment,
if
you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
maybe less.
In 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again, just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong. What if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
Well, what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting.
Burn in hell, Donald Trump. I would say the same for Vance, but I suspect that even he has just begun to realize that he is already burning in hell. He works for Trump. He's realizing it the way Marco Rubio clearly realized it this afternoon as he sat on that couch. And perhaps, if Marco were smart, and he's not, Marco calculated whether what they were all doing in that room and outside of it in the world today might actually constitute a war crime charge against him someday in the not-too-distant future. And for the record, to our still cowering news media and its idiot billionaire owners, if you think when push comes to shove, your filleting of Trump will somehow save you, Listen to the hatred and the venom he voiced at Zelensky. That could have been you, Bezos. That could have been you, Zuckerberg. And soon or late, that will be you, Musk. But specifically to the reporters, no, Politico, your headline, disaster for Ukraine in the Oval Office. You and your right-wing European owners are wrong again. That was a disaster for Trump in the Oval Office. And if that is not apparent right now, it will be damn fast. No, Washington Post, your headline, Trump scolds Zelensky in Oval Office. F you. F you, Jeff Bezos. F everybody who hasn't quit the Washington Post yet. F Woodward and F Bernstein. If you claim to love the Washington Post or you ever loved the Washington Post, repudiate the Washington Post now. It should be out of business by Monday. It is now a more dishonorable place to work than Fox News. Because Fox News didn't just do a 180 and adopt their positions. The Washington Post and all those who serve it, another bunch of whores. No, CNN, your headline, Zelensky leaves Trump meeting early after shouting match? No. Among other things, that is factually inaccurate. There was no shouting match. Zelensky did not shout. There was Trump, a feral creature, a wobbling pile of human feces covered in makeup, yelling at a real president. To the media, this is your warning. You may feel the winds blowing in Trump's direction at this hour, and opposite of everything your predecessors have ever done, you may think it prudent to blow with raw, arrogant, morally indefensible power rather than to fight against it, the usual role of the free press in this country when it was still free. To do this, you do so at the peril of your self-destruction. The Rubicon was crossed in the Oval Office today. Formally, officially, and legally, Trump is president of the United States. Morally, he no longer possesses the title, and his behavior will no longer be tolerated. Cheerlead for him, media, at the risk of all that matters to you, which is your money. This was your headline. CNN, Politico, Washington Post, the others. This is your story. This is what history will record, and damn fast, too, faster than you could possibly imagine. This was what happened. Two of the great cowards of history set up, ambushed, and attacked the 21st century's most courageous leader. And its most courageous leader not only took their imbecilities, he answered them calmly, decisively, inarguably. And the American people have today seen, and will every day from now on see again and again and again, their true enemy, the true threat to this nation, the true conspiracy. And its name is Trump.